Hello, everyone. As you continue to still trickle in, we're going to get started here. 7:31, almost on mat time, which would be 2 to 3 minutes late. Um, Welcome. If you are joining us live on Facebook from the Children with Diabetes Facebook, we will not be participating on Facebook. You're welcome to watch. You can type some questions in the chat, but I can't guarantee that we'll get to them. If you are interested in joining us live on Zoom, where you can hear us speak and answer and ask some questions in the chat, you can visit ffl.is/info session to join us live on Zoom. And you are very welcome, Rebecca. I did it special for you and the other people who know I love costumes so much. All righty. So thank you for joining us. If you're with us tonight, I'm assuming it's because you are interested in attending Friends for Life Orlando 2024, or you're already registered. By show of hands, is it going to let you raise your hands? Raise your hand if you are already registered or planning to register for this summer. Oh, I see lots of hands coming up. Awesome. I'm glad to see Lauren's joining us again this summer. Melissa's coming. Lots of people. All righty. So let's get started. So the way this is going to work, we're going to do a quick introduction. Hi, Linda. We're going to do a quick introduction of everybody here on the call, so you can learn a little bit more about us and what we do here at Friends for Life or at Children with Diabetes, and see if it helps inspire you to ask some questions. And then we'll go from there. I'm going to encourage you to drop all of your questions in the Q&A, and we will get to them as they pop up. If you have any questions that you don't want to ask in the chat, you can ask them anonymously in the chat, or you can send them directly to us at conference@childrenwithdiabetes.com, and we will be happy to get back to you in the next day or so. And then everybody keep an eye on the chat here on Zoom. Our friend Sasha Squibb, CWD's creative director, is in the background, and she's going to be dropping in some links for you tonight as we chat about them. All righty. Let's see, here we go. So my name is Matt Point, and I am the Director of Advancement and Programs here at Children with Diabetes. I have worked here since like 2020 officially. I attended my first Friends for Life in 2012. I do not have diabetes. I'm actually married to a type 1. My husband, Brian, was diagnosed at 15, so he's going on 21 years now with diabetes. So I'm excited to be here. So my job at EWD and Friends for Life is I see the conference program, so all the Friends for Life conferences, but then in addition to that, I'm uh the relationship person to all of our sponsors and supporters. So anything that you see at a Friends for Life conference that involves a sponsor happens to me. So that's the exhibit hall or our banquet sponsored by our friends at Walgreens, or the activity on Saturday morning with Tandem, or our adult party on Friday night with Omnipod, or our Dexcom movie night. All of that is stuff that falls under me. And next, I want to turn it over to my friend and colleague and boss, Lee Fickling.
Hey, everybody. I'm so glad you're here tonight. My name is Lee Fickling. I am the Chief Dinosaur Officer of Children with Diabetes, or the Chief Operating Officer. My connection to type 1 diabetes is my daughter Ava was diagnosed with diabetes when she was 3. She is now 14, and she is in the teen program at Friends for Life. She is also going to be joined by her twin brother, Davis, who has autism and ADHD as well. And I'm so excited to have you all here tonight with us on this webinar. What I do for children with diabetes and during the daytime job when I'm not being a dinosaur with my colleagues here on the screen tonight is help to oversee our day-to-day operations of CWD and make sure that things are moving smoothly for all of us. So thanks for being with us tonight. And I'm going to turn it back over to Matt.
Oh, thank you. Thank you, Lee. Oh, next up we have Marissa Town.
Hello, everyone. So excited to be here. I am Marissa. I've lived with type 1 for 34 years. Too long. And I am the clinical director here at CWD. What that means for Friends for Life is I work to help bring speakers to help figure out what sessions we want to do for especially the parents and the adults living with type 1. We do a lot for grandparents, for other caregivers, for young adults. We want to make sure that we are filling the gaps where the healthcare system doesn't provide you with information and, of course, support. So anything clinical is kind of me. I'm really excited to be on this end of COVID because that was a really stressful time. And I'm really looking forward to this summer. We've got a lot of speakers that have come before that were excellent, and then some new ones as well to keep things interesting. So I think I'll go ahead and pass it off to Ashlyn.
Hi guys, my name is Ashlyn Mills. I have had type 1 diabetes for 8 years now. I've been with CWD for just over a year, and I am the events and programs manager. So all of the logistics behind how many chairs and tables get put in each room. If there's a tissue box on the table, that was because I told them to put it there. In addition to that, I also help manage the room block and the registration system. So any issues you may have with getting your room booked or getting registered for the conference, that all comes through me.
And my name I knew. My name is Jen Hansen. I've had diabetes for 37 years, and hopefully that doesn't age me. My role with children with diabetes is the youth program coordinator. So what I do is oversee all things that have to do with youth at the conference. So Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, when kids are not with their adults, they are in youth programming. And I help just to coordinate that program and make sure that kids are safe and having fun and learning throughout those days.
All right. Thanks, Jen. And thanks everyone for introducing yourself. So I'm going to share some general CWD and Friends for Life information with you all now, and then let that marinate for a second. And if you have questions now already, go ahead and start dropping them in the chat, because we're going to try to answer as many as possible. If this session works the same way that all of the previous sessions have worked, we are eventually going to run out of time and tell you to send all the questions that we didn't answer to conference at Children with Diabetes. If you've joined us late and you are joining us live from the Facebook live stream, we're actually live on Zoom. If you type a question in the chat or on the comments on the Facebook video, we may see it or we may not. But if you're interested in joining us live on Zoom, we are here at ffl.is/info session. Sasha is going to drop that link into the comments on the Facebook, but feel free to join us live here on Zoom if you have any questions for us. All right, so let's kick it off. So the first thing you're probably wondering is, why is Matt dressed like a dinosaur? It's mostly because it's cold here in Pennsylvania, but also because every year we do we like to make diabetes fun. So last year, if you looked at pictures or videos from our event, one of the things that we're going to drop in the chat is our recap video from last year, is we did a space theme adventure. This year, we're going to do like a prehistoric dinosaur themed adventure. People were like, do I have to dress like a dinosaur all week? Absolutely not. Will some people? Absolutely. So whether you want to go in full-on dino costume to our friends and family banquet on Thursday night, or you're gonna do your full Laura Dern Jurassic Park impersonation, whatever you're looking for, that's entirely up to you. Some people will do fun themed t-shirts. Or some people will do nothing at all, and it's entirely up to you. The only time that the vast majority of people will participate in the theme, and whether that's like a themed t-shirt or a full-on costume or outfit, will be Thursday night for our friends and family banquet. You'll see myself and many of the other people in this video live on stage in a multitude of costumes that evening. So I welcome you to join in the fun. It makes for a fun experience. And there's a bar for the parents. So, if you're thinking about, I have to wear a dinosaur onesie, or I'm going to dress like Laura Dern from Jurassic Park, there's at least a bar. So it's funny. You're like, Matt, why are you talking about a bar? This is Children with Diabetes. That's a little bit of a misconception. I think that everybody should know. So Ashlyn was diagnosed as an adult. My husband and I don't have kids. And 57% of the attendees at Friends for Life Orlando 2023 with diabetes were actually adults last year. And that's not because kids are going away. It's because there's nothing else for adults with diabetes to do. So they come to Friends for Life, and we do 8 concurrent adult sessions at a time. In addition to having meetups for significant others, adults with type 1, we do an adults and significant others party on Friday night, and there's a lot of fun to be had for the entire family. So whether you're a mom with type 1 who's there with your kid who also may or may not have diabetes, or you're an adult couple there, or you're a parent, there's things for everybody to do, whether you're 2 or 202 or 2,000,002 because you're a dinosaur. There is something for everybody in the family. Um, the other pieces I wanted to touch on is that our scholarship program for Friends for Life Orlando just opened last week on Thursday, February 1st. Scholarship applications will remain open through Monday, April 16th. I believe they actually close at 12:01 a.m. on the 16th. So you need to submit before going to bed on Friday, April 15th, Eastern Standard Time, or Sunday, April 15th, Eastern Standard Time. So make sure that you submit your scholarship application by that night if you are planning to apply. Please keep in mind, some people will have already submitted applications, and inevitably they will email me in the next couple of weeks asking when they'll hear back. We will not review any applications prior to the closing date. So it does not matter if you submit the application today or if you submit it April 15th, it will get reviewed at the same time. To provide a little bit more clarity and context about how our scholarship program works, last year we brought 30 full families on scholarship, which was really exciting at a cost of more than $145,000. Friends for Life Orlando costs $300 per person to register this year, but children with diabetes will actually pay Disney almost $700 per person. And we make up that difference in donations from generous friends like you all, or from our generous sponsors like Walgreens and Dexcom and Insulet and Tandem and Xeris and Amphastar and all of our other fun friends that'll be with us this summer. The reason I wanted to talk about the scholarship program is because people will send us notes and be like, Matt, I really enjoyed your webinar. I loved your dino onesie. And by the way, I applied for a scholarship. And I'm like, oh, that's nice. I don't review them. So the way it works is we have an anonymous committee made up of almost 18 individuals. There are CWD board members, longtime attendees, and volunteers. There are people who work for some of our sponsors. There are people from industry who all anonymously review these scholarship applications. So the software system we use blinds the scholarship, so they can't see any of your personal name, your address, your phone number, anything about only the answers that you provide. And I know this is outlined on the page about the scholarships, but I think it's helpful to hear too. So it's really important what you write in those answers is what they're going to review and score. We then give out scholarships based on the overall average score for each one once they are reviewed, and each question is scored by the committee of scholarship reviewers. So if you're interested, please submit your scholarship, but it doesn't matter if you submit it today or April 15th, it's not going to get reviewed until after they close, and then we will begin awarding them around May 1st. All right, next up. So the hotel room block's been open since what, Ashlyn? October. So if you have not yet reserved your room, it is now time. You should go ahead and reserve it. Our room block will fill, especially if you are interested in adding shoulder dates. That means like you want to come a little early or stay a little late because you want to do the Disney parks or Universal or SeaWorld. Those dates will fill up sooner rather than later. So I would go ahead and reserve your room. You only have to pay a one-night deposit, which is refundable through our cancellation date, which is June something, like June 7th. So you can go ahead and reserve your hotel room now. I would do it sooner rather than later, especially if you are going to pay a little extra because you want to be in the tower. Those rooms are highly limited. So definitely go ahead and reserve your room as soon as possible, just so that you can have that knocked out and don't have to worry about it. If you have not registered yet, I would encourage you to go ahead and register as soon as possible. Complete your registration. Registration is open. If you have applied for a scholarship, we have held spots in all of our programs for you. So if you are applying for a scholarship, you do not need to reserve a room, and you do not need to register, because we will send you special instructions for all of that if you were awarded one. However, if you are not applying for a scholarship or anything like that, I would highly encourage you to go ahead and register. At this time, I don't anticipate that we will sell out any specific age programs, but we were literally less than 3 kids away from closing one of our age groups last summer. So it really just depends. We have very strict attendee to volunteer ratios, especially in the youth programs, especially in the younger kids with diabetes. So if a kid is 18 months old and has diabetes, they're almost at a 1-to-1 ratio. So the sooner you get your registration materials in, the better off you're going to be. I'm not saying that right now at this moment in time, I'm concerned about us filling up, but I definitely would not hesitate if you know for a fact you're going to come this summer. Registration is currently $300 per person. Like I talked about earlier, we pay a little bit over $700 per person to Disney for everyone who attends. And registration will increase to $350 on June 8th, so the day after the room block closes, and that is pending availability. So if we are full, we will begin making announcements in the Facebook group and on social media and in the newsletter saying that we are anticipating a sellout of an age group or something. But the registration rate will increase on June 8th, regardless of whether we're full or not, and then it will cut off at some point in June once we hit the capacity for the number of volunteers that we have for this summer.
Hey, Matt, while you're talking about the price of registration, there was a question in the chat about why the price for Kitty Cove went up to $300. Would you mind touching on that?
Sure, absolutely. So for the last several years, the price of Kitty Cove was actually less because we, in full transparency, pay less for Disney for kids under 9. We pay their meals cost us less. It's a percentage of what the actual full price cost of the meal is. For perspective, last year, the banquet alone, if you were in attendance, cost $140 per person. Registration last year was $250. So on Thursday, just between the 3 meals, we spent almost $250 more per person than you paid for registration just to cover just those 3 meals, not anything else. No meals on Fridays, no activities, no meetups, no signs, no volunteers to watch your kids, no faculty members to come speak, all that kind of stuff. Kitty Cove is actually our most expensive program to run. For perspective, we have the most volunteers of any age group or program in Kitty Cove, and it cost us almost $50,000 to run. And last year in registration, we brought in only $6,000. I know that we are never going to break even on the Kitty Cove program, but CWD as an organization, as we just can't afford to have such large losses on the program to make sure that we are still here in the future to continue on and to make sure that we're available to bring our programs and services to everybody. So it costs 3 times the amount to run. It cost almost 3 times the amount to run Kitty Cove last year as it did the tween program, and twice the amount as it did the teen program. And the teens went to the water park for the day, and that was with the water park included. Kitty Cove still cost twice as much due to the really small volunteer to attendee ratios.
Yeah, because we want to keep your kids safe.
Exactly. All right. I think that was it on my big announcements. I know that's probably going to spur a lot of questions. Scholarship program timeline. The last thing I did not talk about is we do have an FAQ with a lot of questions in it. Like, you will never actually read all of the questions in our FAQ, but I would encourage you to review it. Sasha's going to drop it in the chat. Please check it out. And I would also encourage you to check out our materials for our Friends for Life Orlando 2023 program. If you haven't looked at it yet, the schedule will largely remain the same in terms of like flow and how the event will feel. However, as Marissa talked about earlier, especially a lot of the adult programs and sessions will be different. The entire youth program will be different than it was last year. In January, I was going to say last month at our retreat, we did a full youth program refresh where we restructured through our updated curriculum guides and came up with 3 to 4 years worth of new programming for all of our youth programs. So we're really excited about that. But definitely check out the Friends for Life Orlando 2023 program, because it'll give you an idea of like when all the social events happen and when the banquet was and how much of a break you'll have between the end of the day and like getting ready for the banquet, going to put your dinosaur costume on. All righty, so it is question time. Jen, first one is for you. How long will my child be away from me for all the things? He is on MDI and solely dependent on me. How do you handle this, and how do I prepare for that? Like, does he need a little backpack with his name on it with his stuff, or does that stay with me?
There are so many good questions in that question.
It was like literally
So
the best question to start out with.
yeah, this will answer maybe many other questions that are in people's minds. So maybe I'll just give a really quick rundown of what the youth program looks like. So the youth program sessions are happening at the exact same time that you are in your session. So those are 1 hour chunks of time. During the break time, so when there might be refreshments out, or you might go to your room to relax, during those breaks, your children are with you. So the longest period of time you'll be without your child is 1 hour. During that time, when what that means is that they're with their youth program volunteers, and that those volunteer teams are made up of 3 different groups. One group is a group of healthcare providers, and largely all of them have experience working in type 1. A lot of them are living with type 1 or have a loved one with type 1. Those healthcare providers are there to make sure that everyone who has diabetes in the group is feeling safe. And the way that that is managed is a little bit different if we're talking about Kitty Cove, where we might have a 1-year-old, or if we're talking about teens, where we have a 15-year-old. The youth program runs from 0 to 17, and we have 4 age groups split up amongst those. You also have your youth leads, who are largely made up of like teacher types and camp director types. And these are the people that are planning the programming that your child's going to be in. So they're doing all of the activity and lesson plans. They're putting all the puzzle pieces together to make sure that your children are learning about everything from nutrition to physical activity to getting some mental health stuff in there. They're kind of doing those pieces. And then you have your volunteer team, which is, oh my gosh, someone will correct me if I'm wrong, but anywhere from like 15 to 25 volunteers within each age group. And those people are actually running the activities with your youth. So when you're coming to drop your child off for the first time, and it sounds like perhaps you have a child maybe in Kitty Cove, in elementary, or in tween, those 3 age groups, actually we'll have a meet and greet on Tuesday before the sessions start on Wednesday, where you'll have a chance to come and meet with the healthcare providers in your room. You'll get to meet with the leaders. Your child can actually see the room. They'll help set you up and tell you all the information you need to know about whether you might be more comfortable with a backpack with your child's name, or you might look at the setup that they have in the room and be like, okay, wait, we'll use your supplies. My child will come with maybe their CGM or their glucose monitor, but I'm happy with the setup the healthcare providers have in that room. But they essentially have everything taken care of. Healthcare providers will never give insulin, but they'll always treat low blood sugars for our folks who have type 1. And when there's ever a concern, they will text parents so that you can be in the loop whenever you need to be in the loop. And you're never too far of a walk from the youth rooms. They're very central in the conference space. Did I hit most of those?
Yeah, Jen, what communication will parents receive from our youth program leaders before they get there?
Yeah, great question. So you will see the youth program schedule come online shortly, where you'll actually see the sessions that your children will be doing. But beyond that, you'll get a letter from your healthcare provider of your group and your group lead that will outline in a little bit more detail what will actually be happening day to day, what the activities you'll see are, how that will be happening, and then what protocols each age group has for diabetes management. And usually we find once that letter goes out, you have all the information that you need to feel pretty comfortable, or at least be ready for that meet and greet time to ask all the questions that you need. If you can't make it to the meet and greet because maybe you're arriving later on Tuesday, that's okay. The leaders are all ready to welcome you at the first session. The meet and greet is just an opportunity to kind of quell the flow a little bit, make the flow happen a little bit easier on Wednesday morning. But you should have everything available to you, and then we are always available for questions ahead of time as well.
One question that I'm going to go ahead and answer related to the youth program is, what is the youngest a kid can be in the youth program? And that answer is 0. Kitty Cove is 0 to 5, and it's broken up into 3 age groups. But the youth program goes 0 to 17. Age group placement in Friends for Life, whether that means you're going to be in the elementary program or the teen program or in the adult program, is based on date of birth as of the first date of the conference. So however old you are on July 9th, 2024 is what age group you will be in. So I will be 35, 35, and I will be in the adult program. Jen will be in the adult program, but Dylan will be in Kitty Cove. That is Jen's son because he will be still under 5 as of July 9th, 2024. So please keep that in mind. We do get a lot of requests like, oh, my daughter she just turned 18 2 weeks ago. Can she still be in the teen program? The answer is no. That has to do with a variety of issues, including rules from the state of Florida. All righty. Here we go. I'm going to run through some questions real quick. What days will the expo be open? Will it be open on Saturday? I'm assuming you mean the exhibit hall. The exhibit hall opens on Wednesday. All day is sponsor and exhibitor day. So all the day on Wednesday, the programming is from our sponsors. It's focus groups, product theater. So like it could be like someone speaking about the latest and greatest pump that just came out, or doing some research, or making you sign an NDA so that you can watch a commercial that's going to come out on TV for our company in a few months, and they want your feedback on it. Um, that happens all day on Wednesday. Wednesday night at 7 p.m. is the grand opening of our exhibit hall. It's a huge social event sponsored by our friends at Walgreens. There's a giant ribbon cutting and like absolute chaos and people running everywhere, like several thousand people running into the room. It's a lot of fun. And the exhibit hall is open, has exhibit hours all day Thursday and Friday. It closes for good at 4:30 p.m. on Friday, and it is done. Let me see here. This is what happens when I click out of the wrong thing. First timer here, I will have a 6-year-old and his big sister with me. Will there be an itinerary sent out in advance? Yes. So we will have our full program and schedule published probably May, if not earlier. We already have a schedule. We are just confirming speakers right now as they confirm their availability, and we like swap things around. But we did drop the FFL Orlando 2023 program. The timing will work pretty much the exact same way. We are shortening the sessions on Thursday and Friday to go back to 60 minutes from 75 because we used to have this one would be 60, this one would be 75, 75, 60, but we're making them all the time sessions the same all day on Thursday and Friday per feedback from our attendee surveys from last year. But other than that, the schedule is staying the exact same. So if you're thinking about we're thinking about going to a park on Saturday afternoon, or, what time is the breakfast done? All of that will remain the same. So check that out on last year's schedule. We already answered that one. I read in the group there isn't a grocery store within walking distance for those of us flying in. What is your suggestion for getting snacks and foods that we need that we can't fly with? Correct. There is like a gift shop at the Coronado. It's expensive. Like you get your $12 pack of saltine crackers. A lot of people will do like Amazon Prime delivery. Dizzy Dolphin is like a Dizzy Dolphin, not Disney Dolphin. Dizzy Dolphin is a delivery service that delivers to all the Walt Disney World resorts. That one also delivers from the liquor store. Fun facts. You can order through them. However, if you're showing up on site and you're like, I need to go to Publix, post in the FFL Orlando group. You will see it'll be like absolutely like every 20 minutes somebody will be posting and say, I'm looking to go to Publix, and you will have like 10 people volunteer to drive you to the Publix down the street. I've also just Ubered to the grocery store personally. It's probably $10 each way. So that is also another easy option. But there's a variety. Dizzy Dolphin, Amazon Fresh, Walmart delivers there. And then you could just Uber to the grocery store, or you can just pay like the extra $8 per pack of crackers and buy it at the gift shop. Do you do scholarships?
One thing about groceries, Matt. Garden Grocer is another vendor that we've used in the past. And if you order your groceries now, you get a discount. So if you order it 90 days in advance, there's a discount on the groceries, 60 days in advance, 30 days in advance. And so that's been sort of one of the ones that we've done. So when you order groceries, either from Garden Grocery or Amazon or whatever, they will bring those to the bell stand, and they'll keep those for you as long as there's not alcohol in your order. If there's alcohol, then you need to be there to present your ID. But for everything else, they'll keep them at the bell stand, and then you can either walk over to the bell stand to pick those up, or you can call, and then for a small fee, they'll deliver those over to your room. I think it was like $6 last year for them to deliver them.
Awesome. I need to try that one out. So in terms of food and stuff, so Thursday we have breakfast, lunch, and dinner on Thursday, and morning and afternoon snack breaks on Thursday and Friday. Friday we have a big lunch. Friday night we have all kinds of social activities with food. Saturday we have a bunch of social activities with like snacks. Wednesday night with the exhibit hall grand opening. There's always cheese and crackers and chocolate covered strawberries. So I would definitely look through the schedule. I know a lot of people have ordered a ton of food and then like realize that they didn't eat a lot of it. Usually I can like suffice through the week with like a pack of granola bars in my room that I like chomp down real quick before going to events because there's like a lot going on. So there's a lot of like grazing that happens. So I wouldn't be like super concerned. But if there's like the essentials that you have to have, you're like, I know that my kid's gonna lose their mind if they don't have their graham crackers every night before climbing into bed, or like they like to eat them in bed and get all crummy. Make sure you get those to the room. But for the most part, there's a lot of food and snacks that happen throughout the week at Friends for Life. I would definitely check out the schedule so you can see. And Sasha actually just dropped in the menus. Oh, Sasha, you sent that one just to host and panelist. Make sure you switch the thing to everyone and the ones above it. All right, so check out those. Sasha's dropping them in so that everybody can see them. But definitely check out, and that's all last year's menus. Some of the menus will be changing this year, specifically the menus on Thursday, based on because I like to read the survey feedback. So no more sandwiches. Sorry, y'all. All right. Do the scholarships get awarded before the room block closes? Yes, they do. The room block closes June 7th. Scholarships will start being awarded May 1st. People have 2 weeks to accept or decline. So it's almost 3 to 4 weeks before. Another question is, are scholarships solely income based or are the other factors considered? There's a variety of factors considered. Need, extenuating circumstances, why you would benefit from attending Friends for Life. That said, our scholarship program is intended for people that they would not otherwise be able to come. So if they don't get a scholarship, they're most likely not attending because they can't afford to be there without it. So that is what our scholarship program is intended for. Last year we had 109 applications, completed applications, 60 still in draft for 30 family spots, and we spent $145,000 on it. So for some perspective it is quite competitive. So if you can afford to pay and attend, I would go ahead and register and book your room now, just because those spots are coveted and it's truly intended for people who would not otherwise ever be able to attend. With the teens going to the water park, do they get out of the water once an hour, or is it more of a free roam thing? My child, as I'm sure many in this group, tank in a minute they hit the water, so we check often. Jen, fun fact, we went to the water park last year, so we are pros at this. So Jen, do you want to take this one again?
Sure. Yeah. So I think one of the cool things about the Teen Water Park Day is that they are going to, as a group, prep for the Teen Water Park Day on the day before the water park. And what that means is that the leaders within the group are going to be helping them to kind of make sure that they have all the tools they have that they can have to have a successful time at the water park. They also will have their own area, and correct me, Matt, if I'm wrong, but their own area at the water park that is their hub. Yeah, pavilion, an area that they can hang out when they don't want to be in the water, where their stuff can hang out with the leaders, and will be a central spot where people will be encouraged to come check in and check out. They won't be forced to get out at any sort of time, but we had a lot of success. We had a lot of nerves last year, and then we had an incredible amount of success, and probably the most fun that has been had at a park day since I remember in 2009 when I first came down. So just know that they will be prepared with lots and lots of information. They will be given a chance to problem solve together, and then we will set them up for as much success as possible at the water park property. Their healthcare providers will be there, and they're going to have a great time.
Awesome. Thank you.
And just a note about the healthcare providers. So usually we have diabetes educators as well as nurses. Some of the other diabetes educators are, dietitians, but we also want to have some nurses in case there are, minor injuries or other health issues that, we've been experiencing over the last few years. And I'm sorry, Ashlyn, you also unmuted. Go ahead.
sorry, I was just going to say also, in addition to the leaders and volunteers going to the water park, we also sent a couple members of our version of security. So people with law enforcement backgrounds, military backgrounds, our support team goes to make sure the kids are also safe outside of diabetes. So they're watching after your kids. They're going to make sure nobody gets into any trouble.
And I'll just say, as a mom with teens, probably, and my kids have grown up in Friends for Life. They started when they were in the elementary program. So we have now been through elementary, tween, and now we are in the teen program. I think one of my biggest fears as a first-time teen mom, not an actual teen mom, but mom to teens at FFL, was the water park day, and sort of the fear of wondering what was going to happen once they were there, what would happen to the diabetes, was everybody just going to be like falling out either with like a super high or like a really low. And none of that happened. And my kids are just so thrilled that they're going back to Typhoon Lagoon next year. When Matt made the announcement this afternoon about it, like they were just like totally pumped about it. And so it really worked like a magical experience for everybody. We have ways to be able to keep all of their diabetes supplies dry and safe. There will be, things to be able to treat lows while they're there. And they are very much sort of supervised in a way that makes sense for diabetes and makes sense for Friends for Life, and also makes sense for people in the teenage years. So sort of as a mom who has now been there, done that, we survived it. Kids are looking forward to it. I encourage all of you moms and dads who are worried about it to know that, it really will be okay, because if I can live through it and not sort of show up at Typhoon Lagoon and park my body there during the entire day, you can do it too.
Yep.
And then there was a comment about what the teens should wear. And I was just going to add that it is cold in the conference center often. So, and it's very steamy outside in July in Orlando. So I would recommend bringing layers. And, we do ask that, I used to volunteer in the teen program a lot. So we just try to make sure that things are, relatively appropriate, but there aren't any restrictions necessarily.
I would encourage all the kids and who are participating to make sure that they're wearing like shoes that are appropriate for activity. So yes, we are in Orlando in July, but they're going to be like running, jumping, like playing games. So I would tennis shoes, sneakers, depending on what part of the country you're from, I would highly encourage you to wear. One thing that Lee just said that made me think, I've already forgot it. Ashlyn, can you tell us about meals? Are there gluten-free options available for people, or what if somebody has a food allergy?
So I'm a good person to ask this to, because I happen to have a food allergy. So a large percentage of our attendees with type 1 diabetes also have celiac disease. So we have a completely dedicated gluten-free buffet. Disney's very good. They no cross-contamination. They use separate toasters for the bread, and everything's very safe. You guys will get a yellow bracelet if you indicate that you need to eat gluten-free, and you can use that yellow bracelet to access our gluten-free buffet. Should you have another food allergy, make sure when it asks you that question on your registration that you say that, and you let us know what your food allergy is. And that way we can prepare in advance to help you however we can. Disney will have a chef stationed at every meal, sitting there with a notebook, and they will take notes about you, and they will go back and they will prepare you a meal that is safe for you and bring it back to you. And they will also have a list in advance of what kind of food allergies we have in our group, so they're prepared to help you with that. We can handle pretty much any kind of allergy.
So please make sure that you provide 100% accurate and honest information in your registration. You are not going to say anything that we have not read before. We have seen your daylily flower allergies, and your airborne kiwi allergies, and your soy allergies, and your fear of ants. Please share it all, and whether that, even if that includes non-food related disabilities. So if somebody in your house is has a physical disability, may find them, is neurodivergent or something like that, please make sure to always include all of that information in the in your registration, so that way that we can best prepare to accommodate you and your family while on site. In addition to what Ashlyn said, all of our meals are also carb counted. This is like one of the fun things about coming to Friends for Life, especially if you're newly diagnosed and you're like, okay, so I'm carrying my screaming 4-year-old through this buffet line and I'm eating all this strange Disney food. But there's going to be QR codes on every table and you're going to scan them and you're going to say, oh, I got 1 scoop of that pasta and I can see that that is 18 carbs. So we actually carb count and use like special measuring spoons and utensils for all of our meals as well. So that's a fun feature of being at Friends for Life. Often the gluten-free food is better than the regular food. And my mom is gluten-free and she loves Friends for Life because of what a good effort Disney does on the gluten-free foods to make it just as good, if not better, than the non-gluten-free buffets. One of the questions we got asked was, are there refrigerators in the room for insulin? There are refrigerators in the room. They are beverage coolers. We would encourage you never to store your insulin in a hotel refrigerator because they are not very adequately climate controlled. Marissa had insulin freeze. We had insulin that was like the temperature of like it had been sitting outside in Orlando in July. So regardless of whether you're at Disney or not, I would encourage you not to store insulin in a hotel refrigerator just because you can't guarantee. They're highly variable in terms of climate and temperature. There are a lot of packs, like you can get like Frio packs and things like that from Amazon to bring with you. In addition to, we have a lot of friends in the exhibit hall who will be selling and showing items like that, which takes me into the next question. Besides registration fee and hotel fees, are there any other hidden costs that we should prepare for? I would say I don't think there are any hidden costs. Like you will have additional food you want. You're at Disney World, so inevitably you're going to want to do something Disney, whether that's like the Winter Summerland putt place, or there's like the magical ears in the gift shop that your daughter keeps eyeing. I would prepare for some souvenirs. We also have a CWD swag stand with like fun, like dino themed things, general CWD shirts and stuff like that. So just something to think about. But we won't be charging you any extras. You're not going to get to Friends for Life and be like, oh, by the way, it's $20 if you want to go to the teen event. None of that. You will not see any of that in our program. That said, there will be items for sale in the exhibit hall, but they are from our exhibitors. A good example of that would be a couple of years. There's a person who's come for several years who makes special pajamas that hold insulin pumps in them, and you can actually pay and order them in the exhibit hall. Things like that. But you won't see any additional like charges from children with diabetes while you're there. My daughter was diagnosed with type 1 diabetes at 3 months old and is now 4 years old. For parents with 4+ years of experience, will we get much out of the sessions? Many conferences are attended and geared toward newly diagnosed families. Lee, I'm going to let you and Marissa take this one together because you've been attending since for over 10 years with as a parent.
I'm sorry, I was just answering another question. Tell me what the question was again. Apologies.
My daughter was diagnosed at 3 months old and is now 4. For parents with 4+ years of experience, will they get much out of the sessions?
Yes. I think that one of the best things I think I will show you this picture. As a matter of fact, I was saving this in my time hop today. This pulled up from 9 years ago. I don't know if you can see it or not, but here are my twins when we bought our very first suitcases to come to Friends for Life. And the suitcases were bigger than my kids. They could fit into those. So we've been coming now. This will be our I guess our 10th year coming to Friends for Life Orlando. And I think that one of the things that's most important to me whenever we were thinking about coming as participants, to this event, my husband would come with us and we would sort of divide and conquer in the sessions. And our goal was to be able to learn one new thing to put into our diabetes toolkit every single year that we came. So whether that was for a regional conference or whether that was for the Orlando conference, if we could just learn one thing, and that one thing might be a friend that I could text in the middle of the night when I was having a problem with a high or a low. or it might be a technique that we learned from one of our faculty members who was coming in to be able to present. I think one of the great things that Marissa does in terms of the adult programming that we have at the conference is she brings faculty members from an international basis. So when we go out as an organization and we travel the world and attend different diabetes conferences, Marissa reaches out to those individuals and asks them to be able to join us for our faculty. And so the sessions that you will see whenever you're attending Friends for Life Orlando on the adult side are the cutting edge, very best sessions that we have from our sponsors, from our exhibitors, and from very esteemed faculty members worldwide to be able to come in to present the very latest and greatest with diabetes. So it's really sort of not the same old every single year. The youth programming also, Jen has already talked about that before, but, it is very much geared age appropriate to be able to help the kids have the same experience that we are having as the adults in our sessions. They'll be having age appropriate lessons as well, both for the people that have diabetes and for the people that are the orange bands that love people with diabetes. So every single year for the last 10 years, every conference that I've ever attended, there's been something, at least one thing that I've learned new that has been able to help us be able to move forward and be able to help us manage diabetes better. And I think that, one of the things about CWD is that our motto is care today until a cure tomorrow. And so we really focus on that about living our very best lives with diabetes. And I think that we've really curated an experience at Friends for Life to be able to give you the very best care today until we reach that cure.
Yeah, and I'll just add that, one of the main reasons to come to Friends for Life, aside from learning new things, is to make connections. That's something that you can't learn necessarily, but you'll find that to maintain resilience, I know you said you're 4 years in, I'm 34 years in, and I still learn new things with diabetes because it's so fun and it keeps us on our toes, and then things change, right? As your child grows and goes into different developmental stages, there are different concerns that you'll have as a parent. Right now you're really driving that bus, but in a few years, your kiddo will start taking more of the reins. So we do a lot of sessions that are psychosocial focused, right? So we have parenting at different ages and stages with diabetes and how to navigate that by diabetes psychologists. We're going to have sessions about mindfulness that are good for all of us when we're stressed. And then we have things that are state of the art and or sort of more touchy topics that maybe not every conference will have for you, where we're talking about the effects of alcohol, the effects of drugs. We're talking about things like diabetes burnout, even suicide, right? Which is not something that is talked about everywhere. What about disordered eating as it relates to diabetes? Like all of these things are, as I said at the beginning, we are trying to fill the gaps we're not going to teach you, necessarily more about carb counting. We're going to give you the carb counts so that you don't have to think about it, because carb counting is usually something that you're going to learn with experience and or from whatever apps you're using. So I really, truly hope, and I feel you will find something, if not that you're learning necessarily something new informationally, that you are learning a tip or a trick from a family that you meet, that you're learning about a different system that someone is using, that you're learning about different communication tools between parents and child, and things like that.
Awesome. Thank you. Lee, is FFL accessible? I'm having surgery. May need to rent a scooter if we go. You're muted.
I've muted you. I sent you away from my camera and all of that. Yes, I'm so glad you asked me that, Matt, and person on the chat. FFL is very accessible. I responded back to you privately for that person that had that question. So Scooter Bug is the vendor that has the agreement with Disney in terms of scooter rentals and drop off. And so if you rent through Scooter Bug, they will be able to drop off your scooter to Coronado, leave it at the Bell Services. You can pick it up whenever you check in. You can also leave it with them before you check out. And then true story, in case if you are out on Disney property, like at Disney Spring, and your scooter will sort of conk out or for some reason not work, they will come and bring you a backup scooter. So that's one of the benefits to using Scooterbug sort of as their preferred vendor. There are a lot of other vendors, and I'm happy to be able to talk with anybody about scooter rentals as well. There was another question that came in about the sunflower lanyards. So for those of you all that are new to Friends for Life and new to our organization, we participate in the Sunflower Initiative at Children with Diabetes and at our conferences, to where we recognize that there are individuals that may have hidden disabilities that may need a little bit of extra help and extra assistance at our conferences. Matt talked about whenever you register, making sure that you disclose all of those things. So if you have a child that has an IEP plan or has a 504 plan, please disclose that as part of your registration to the conference. So that way we can make sure that we work with you on potential accommodations that you may need. We have an entire Sunflower team that is dedicated to providing special accommodations throughout the conference experience, both for youth program participants and adult participants as well. We have a quiet room that's available for people that have neurodiversity. We have sensory bags that are available at the registration desk. But it's always better for us to be able to have these conversations in advance before you arrive to Orlando to make sure that we're able to meet your accommodation needs. The sunflower lanyards will be available at registration. You can choose to wear one of those. And when you put on one of the sunflower lanyards, that just lets people that are helping to work at the conference understand that you may have some extra needs, and for us to be able to recognize those as well.
Thank you, Lee. Jen, where did it go? What do my non-T1D siblings do during the conference? My daughter who has not diabetes, does not have diabetes, will do in a different group than my son who has diabetes. Just trying to get a sense of what her experience would be since she won't be directly supporting her brother.
Yeah, good question. So within each of our, and maybe we didn't explain this at the beginning very super clearly, but everyone at the conference who has type 1 diabetes will be wearing a green wristband. And that's kind of like, you can watch out for your other people wearing green wristbands. You know, they get it in a different way than the folks who are wearing orange wristbands, who are just as important, but are important in a different way because they love someone with diabetes. And that's kind of the thought process that we use when we're planning all of our youth programming. So within the youth program, even though today we've been talking a lot about the youth with diabetes, we put just as much focus on the youth without diabetes and the youth that are there to support someone with diabetes through the actual sessions. So as an example, if we are, let's say we have a VIP who is coming to one of the youth sessions to talk about life with diabetes, they're not just talking about life with diabetes, but they're talking about the people that have supported them along the way and all of the important roles that they've played. And we're working with the youth specifically on building skill sets to be a child of someone with diabetes or to be a brother or sister of someone with diabetes. And we often find that there's just as strong connections between our orange bracelets as there are between our green bracelets. And I think you'll find that as things go throughout the weekend, but we definitely are prepared and we very consciously plan programming around that. Matt, I'll just jump on that too, because I should have explained this at the beginning, but just to be really clear about those age groups, our Kiddie Cove is 0 to 5. As soon as your child turns 6, they are in elementary 6 to 8, 9 to 12 is tweens, and 13 to 17 is teens. And like Matt said, there's not the ability to move back and forth between those age groups. You are in the age group that you need to be in. Within those age groups, sometimes they're even subdivided. So within Kiddie Cove, we have one large room that's separated by air walls with doors in between. So although they're in the same space, we have a separate space for the babies so that they can be napping away from the 5-year-olds who might be doing a little bit of a more active session. So together, but also somewhat separate at times.
Thank you. Do you have to attend each event every day, or can you take a little break? Do you have to attend every event and every session? So I'm going to answer this. It's complicated. No, you are not required to attend every session. However, we encourage you to bring your kids to every session. Scholarship recipients are required to attend every session and every major social event, which would be the banquet, the exhibit hall grand opening, and the farewell breakfast, and the Friday night event and the Saturday night family event. Teens in the teen program are required to attend every session on Wednesday and Thursday to be allowed to go on the water park trip on Friday. If they miss a session on Wednesday or Thursday, they will not be allowed to go on the trip to the water park unless it is something like they are scheduled for their retinal screening, which we will have a list in advance and the team leaders will know when their retinal screening time is. So that won't be an issue. So that answers that. Oh, there was another one that I was going to answer related to that. Somebody asked how many teens we're expecting. I'm going to say 250. Oh, do I have to sign up for sessions? No, you do not. So sessions, we have 7 to 9 sessions that happen at a time on Wednesday and Thursday during the regular CWD programming of Friends for Life. On Wednesday, it is focus groups and product theaters, and some of them will require pre-registration in advance. The first week of June, we will send an email out to all attendees. We will start a series of emails, and then once you register, you'll automatically get put on this email list. But that first week of June, we will send an email out about product theaters and focus groups, as well as device trials, where you can sign up. And some of those sessions are very limited. And the number of people who will be allowed to participate, because that number is actually stipulated by the sponsor and the number of people they want in the room. So those would be the only things that you need to sign up for. Some sessions are not geared for you. So on Wednesday, I host a session for significant others of people with type 1. So if you're on this call and you're like, hey, I have type 1, I'm trying to drag my husband or boyfriend or whatever with me, make them come, because then they can come to my session and then go to my happy hour after. If you come into my session and you're wearing a green band because you have diabetes, we're going to kick you out, because it's not intended for you. Just like sessions for moms are intended for moms, and sessions for teens are intended for teens, which brings up another fun subject. You cannot escort your child to the youth program. They are going to go to the youth program, and you are going to go to the adult program. Because like we said, it's your date of birth, how old you are on July 9th, 2024. So if you are 37 years old, you do not qualify as a tween, so you cannot go to the tween program. All right, let me see. I feel like I'm getting more questions here. Do I have to sign up for sessions? Any last hit? We have about 3 minutes left. So this is your time. Do all the parents stay for every session? Yes. Lots of people stay for most every session. And the one thing that we didn't bring up yet is, like I said, there's like 8 things happening at a time. So you'll look through the schedule and you're going to be like, I want to go to this one or this one. You're going to go into a session and be like, this ain't for me. Just get up and leave and go to the next one. That is completely fine. You are more than welcome to do that. You can go to any session, you can get up. If it's overwhelming for you, that's fine too. There's a lot of crying and a lot of hugs in the hallways. You're allowed to cry. You're allowed to want to hug. I'm not a hugger, and I will hug every single person in the hallway. So if you come up to me, I'm sure you can find me, and I'll give you a hug in my little dino outfit, whatever you want. But it's okay to leave a session if you need to, or if you're not feeling something, or if you're like, I'm a little torn. Oh, I thought this was going to be about this, but I'm going to get up and I'm going to go to this food session now because I think that's going to be a little bit more interesting to me. You're more than welcome to do that. Is there anything for siblings of kiddos that are 20 to 25? Actually, yes. So we run a young adult program that's geared towards young adults 18 to 25, 26. And those sessions are applicable to really any young adult. So there are things about help me learn about insurance, or healthy eating on a budget while I'm away at school, or job searching and when to disclose a disability, because yes, type 1 diabetes is disability under the ADA. Come to that session with Lee and I, you'll learn all about it. But there's a lot of activities and programs and fun stuff that are applicable to anyone, regardless of whether you have diabetes or not. Are kids with type 1 in the same groups or sessions as kids without siblings? Yes. So the kids in our youth program are all grouped together, but there might be sessions where they're split off together. And keep in mind, it's not all just siblings. There might be kids in there who are orange bands who have parents with diabetes. So we make all of our programming applicable to everybody. So it's about the people they love in their lives with type 1, because a sibling has very different concerns about diabetes, who's worried about their little brother versus somebody who's worried about their mom. And we're going to make sure that we touch all of those bases. You had mentioned regional FFL conferences. Do those happen every year? Yes, they're all scheduled out through 2026. Sasha's going to drop the link in the chat, ffl.is/upcoming FFLs. You can see all of our future Friends for Life conferences. This year, we are in Falls Church, Virginia, April 5th through 7th, and we're in Anaheim at the Disneyland Resort in October. Next year, we're back in DC in the spring, and we're going to be in Seattle in the fall. And then the year after that, we are in Hershey, Pennsylvania at the Hershey Lodge. It'll be like the sweetest diabetes conference on earth. And then we will be in, where are we that? Oh, we're back in Disneyland in Anaheim, California that fall. So the registration for those opens a few months out. Registration for Friends for Life Falls Church is currently open. Registration for Friends for Life Anaheim will open after Friends for Life Orlando happens this year. Check them out on the website. They're a lot of fun. They're a lot more intimate. It's not like the chaos and the glitz and the glamour of Orlando, but it's a great time to like have a glass of wine and hang out with people in the hallway, really get to know people, sit in the circle, have a conversation. Are there any last minute conversations? Let me check my text. I think we're good. Oh, I think that's it. Well, I want to say thank you all for joining us tonight. I think this was a really good. We're going to do several more of these, and some of them will be a little bit more specific as we get closer to Friends for Life. So we will do a deep dive in on the program and the food and the activities later on. One question that did come to me in a text message from nobody who's working here right now, it was about the clothes. Again, you are not obligated in any way to like participate in a theme. It's just for fun. You can come wear whatever you want to wear that makes you feel comfortable and happy to be there. It's going to be like 110 degrees and humid outside and 45 degrees and snowy in the convention center. So however you balance that out. Thank you all for joining us. If you joined us late or you have more questions, you can email us at conference@childrenwithdiabetes.com, and Ashlyn and I will get back to you, or we'll forward your email to the person who would best answer your question. We will also be posting this event live as a recording on the Friends for Life Orlando website and on our social media and our newsletter, The Weekly Diabetes, which you should be subscribed to. All right. I think that is it. Thanks for joining us tonight. Have a great night, everybody.
Thanks, everybody. Thanks, Matt.